Hello and welcome. It is Iron Raiden, back yet again with another new topic of discussion. Now, the hot one that we have currently going on right now is, of course, the reset of the DCEU yet again. And with that comes the biggest news out of that reset is the fact that Henry Cavill will no longer play the Man of Steel. Now, for a lot of people, they have varying opinions on the DCEU as a whole, the Snyderverse, this and that, whatever have you. Now, for me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Snyderverse at first. And of course, as you gradually went along, you just saw the directions. It just didn't seem like it was very coherent. They tried to do one thing. Suicide Squad was perhaps the biggest shift they tried to make, where it was going to be dark and gritty, like Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Then they kind of shifted things a bit because Guardians of the Galaxy was a success, and it's this ragtag team of misfits and criminals and whatnot working together doing this and that. So they tried to shift the tone of that, and ever since then, it's just been this ping pong game back and forth as to what the hell direction and what tone we want to go with here, and it's just been a giant mess all around. And of course, not even mentioning Justice League and how bad that was, bringing in Joss Whedon, completely changing up what Zack Snyder was going for, and the end result initially with that theatrical release was just absolute nonsense. And then, of course, we got the actual Snyder Cut. And it was at this point when this was coming out, I consider that a win for fans, even though I wasn't the biggest fan. Because I had gone back and rewatched Man of Steel, BVS, and I could appreciate them a little bit more. I could see some things that were there of what he was going for, and I could appreciate it. I'm not hardcore about it, but I could still really take in a lot of good that was done there. Henry Cavill, at first, I wasn't the biggest fan of, but over time, he eventually started to win me over, especially just him in general, considering what he brings to the table as far as his knowledge and as far as his commitment to a lot of these roles and these properties like The Witcher, and which you see now that he decided to leave that because they were not honoring the source material, and because he thought as well that he can just go back to Superman because they said, hey, announce it in October, you can go back, be Superman. And the way that they just jerked this dude around like this, because first of all, knowing how very few people in Hollywood could look like this, could look like the way Henry Cavill does, can be a star like Henry Cavill is, can actually be very much in tune with the pop culture, with the actual properties that he's dealing with, and wanting to honor that. Very few people like him are around. And you see that someone who actually has deserved and earned his spot in these roles and doing his thing and trying to make it work, he's the one who gets the shaft and completely loses out on both roles because they just don't know what the hell they were doing. And of course, the fans, for the most part, are not happy about it whatsoever. So he got the shaft like twice over, just in the last month alone with these two happenings. And so it is basically, look, I see it as, yeah, I can understand just ripping off the band-aid and just saying fuck it, we just got to start over. It's not coherent at all. Even if the movies wind up being shit again, I don't know. I really don't. But even then, hopefully they can at least keep a consistent tone across all of their films, at the very least here. But what makes it even worse, though, is the fact that, again, they allowed him to announce and alluded to the fact, and of course, what The Rock's been doing with Black Adam, and really just trying to get this whole thing to work so he can face off with him, blah, blah, blah. You even have the fucking end credit scene at the end of Black Adam teasing, like, okay, Henry Cavill's big comeback, here it comes, we're doing it. Only now we get to this point, and it's just like, no, fuck it, we're done. We're just gonna start over from scratch, and it's and it just keeps going on and on. And if that stuff hadn't happened, it would make it at least a little less annoying. But I can only imagine being in Henry Cavill's shoes, especially. It's just like, can I catch a break at all? All right. And so that does leave you with the biggest question: is this all going to work out in the end with James Gunn? With James Gunn, I mean, he can obviously do solid work. He's a very creative guy. and there's, some things iffy about him as well, here and there. So can he make this work? Honestly, I don't know at this point. At this point, it really is rather exhausting going through this entire process. And I mean, if you wanted to keep Henry Cavill, if you wanted to keep, and we don't know what's going to happen with Gal Gadot, knowing that Wonder Woman 3 is on ice and stuff with Patty Jenkins, and it's just, even in this process, it's still just a giant mess. So they're basically just ripping off the band-aid, it seems, and just going for it. And hopefully it'll work out, but honestly, right now, until I start seeing like the first film that they do, the second film, whatever, I'm probably just not going to care that much, because it's just been exhausting going through this entire process, just jerking us back and forth, not knowing what direction to go in, not giving us a cohesive universe. I mean, hell, we even have the Joker film, we have the Batman film, which aren't technically connected, but you just got all this stuff going on, and you're just left with just major confusion. So I can only hope that they make it work, but it does come with, of course, the fact that we can't have Henry Cavill as Superman. And honestly, he really is a solid fit for that role. I do feel like he really just did not get his justice with it, so to speak. We really did not get to see him truly defy the role as his own that much. We saw shades of greatness of what could be, really seeing him embody that, maybe a balance of the darker stuff, but the more lighter tone of Superman. There could have been room for a lot of that stuff, but unfortunately, it's not the case. But it is what it is right now. We just have to just take it as it is and just move along with it. But hopefully Henry Cavill will get something else going great for him, because again, he has earned my respect over the years. He is, like a video I just did recently talking about Keanu Reeves, and now he's just a solid guy all around who really commits to his work and cares about his work and the fans. And so hopefully something good will come out of this for him down the line. We shall see. But either way, yeah, it's just insane. I get it at the same time, but as well, it's just been a mess even on this front. So let me know what you think about the whole thing. Are you a fan of his or not? Were you hoping he would stay on? What direction you think they can go and what they should do? Whatever have you, it's all free game. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. I am Iron Raven, and I am out.